Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our, what's the day today? Wednesday class. PED 07A, continuation of our module number 4. This is our last lesson for prelim. So, kung hindi magkakaroon ng integration period or rest period for students and faculty members next week, we will be pursuing our preliminary examination. I hope everyone is okay. Sludar. Okay. I will be sharing my screen now. Screen check, guys. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's good. Dahil malapit mag-compute ng grades, nagdagan natin yung R nyo. Pero hindi panel discussion. Ano yung pinag-aralan last meeting? Sige, ano pinag-aralan natin nung nakaraan?
About po, sir, sa product and process.
Diretso. Yan, nahiya na yata.
So, yung po, sir, na aalala ko is about po sa product and process na inaano kapag during performance-based assessment. Sa process, dun tinetest ng isang teacher kung paano yung process na ginawa ng bata. Either yung maging product man nun ay hindi tutugma, basta yung process na ginawa ng bata ay tama. Dun mo maano yung kanyang performance base. Yung product naman, kahit anong process yung ginawa niya, basta yung product na gusto mong ma-achieve nila, yun po yung iaano mo. Tas puwede mo namang i-apply yung both ng process and product sa performance base. Yun po, sir.
Okay, thank you. Who are you, ma'am?
Amores po.
Amores. Ganun-ganun nga yung diniscuss ng nakaraan. Other insight? Other recall? Isa lang? Ay, parang ka nasa ilalim ng lupa. Hindi kita naririnig. Mahinang-mahina. Taksan mo. Nawala na pati. Kasi hindi tayo nagki-quiz. Kasi, tawag dito, defeat yung ating objective kapag nagki-quizzes tayo. Kung nagpa-quiz naman ako ng ipapa-assignment, medyo duda ako sa mga mangyayari. So, we will just focus on the module. Napakarami namang laman ng module. Anyway, I hope and pray na naiintindihan natin yung mga pinag-usapan natin nung nakaraan. And this time, yes, somebody, may magsasalita ba?
Hello po. Ayun
Alberto.
po, sir. Rinig na po.
Oo, pakalakas.
Ayun po. Bale, sir, yung pong pagkakaintindi ko po, yun nga po sa product and process. Sa product po, nakapokus po mismo sa kung ano po yung kalalabasan. Then dun po sa process, yung pong parang mayroon siyang step by step na gagawin. Tapos sa research po, both po siyang ginagamit gawa ng nandun yung product and process na mahalaga pong maano sa research.
Okay, thank you. Ayla. Meron pa?
Ako po, sir.
Sige, Bianca Olanda. Kumusta lang
Yung
yung
about-
ano, kumusta na yung 700?
Alin pong 700?
Hindi mo tanda yung 700, yung bayad sa thesis?
Ay! Bakit po?
Nabasa ko lang sa post mo. Anyway, continue.
Ano po, sir? Yung about po sa performance task po, identifying task. Yung kung ano-ano po yung mga needed para po sa pagkakaroon po ng pag-conduct po ng pagbigay sa students ng performance task. Halimbawa po ay kung individual or groupings or ano-ano po yung criteria and skills po na dapat na ipakita ng students. Yun.
Okay, thank you, Olanda. We will now be proceeding to our topic for the day para matapos na dito. So, welcome again to Chapter 4, Designing Meaningful PBA. Thank you, Emerita Reyes, Erlinda Dizon, and Dr. Danilo K. Villena. This is the second part of the module. We have the same SILO to apply the principles in constructing and interpreting PBA, and same set of CILO. At the end of this chapter, you should be able to develop a portfolio of PBA tools that measures learners' competencies of a given subject. Okay, so step 1 is identifying the purpose. Step 2 is, ano nga yun? Yung sa process at saka sa product. Then step 3 is developing the scoring schemes. Okay, Palentinos. Nako, good luck. Nandito yung batang yan. Palentinos, nandito ka? Okay, there are several ways in assessing the student's performance. It could be using anecdotal records, interviews, direct observations using checklist or Likert scale, or rubrics for performance-based assessment. Ang i-detalye natin na yung rubrics for PBA, pero hapyawan na natin sa anecdotal records. Kung matatandaan nyo, kung kayo ay nasa public school during your high school, senior man yan o junior high school, may anecdotal records na tinatawag. Sa case ko, when I was teaching in high school, ang anecdotal record ay pinapahawak ko sa secretary ng klase. Tapos kung kailan umabsent ng bata, kung anong ginawa ng bata for that day, kung anong nag-i-emerge na important na pangyayari sa klase for that particular period, ilalagay lahat ng secretary sa anecdotal record. Sa pamamagitan nito, pwede mong ma-counter-check. Actually, kahit ngayong affective, kahit pwede mong makita kung paano na-develop o gaano kasama ugali ng estudyante during this particular period, ano ang nangyari. It's because of the anecdotal records. It's the day-to-day, para ba siyang diary ng klase. Then of course, interview. Makaka-assess ka ng student's performance using interview. Pakikipag-usap. Isa pa sa mga nakukuha mo dito ay first-hand information, primary source, kumbaga. Nakukuha mo immediately sa estudyante yung feedback kung may natututunan siya o wala. Or direct observations using checklist. Ang checklist or Likert scale, yung nagme-measure ka ng 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, mahusay, 3, hindi. Just like, para siyang rubrics. Kaya nga lang, si rubrics ay mas detalyado. Unlike kay checklist, si checklist medyo structured. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung nakasulat doon, yun yung i-measure mo. Ikakahon mo sila sa 1 to 4. Unlike yung rubrics, you have giving them description na yan ang ating pag-uusapan sa araw. So, let's proceed with rubrics as an assessment. Makinig po mabuti kasi kayo po ay gagawa ng rubrics sa Module 4. So, rubrics is defined as set of rules specifying the criteria used to find out what the students know and are able to do. So, ayon yan kay Musiel 2009. Let me just ask, nakakita na ng rubrics?
Yes.
Yes po. Yes.
Naman, sana hindi ako makarinig ng hindi. Kasi third year na, pag di ka nakakita ng rubrics, laganap ang rubrics mula pa sa ating kindergarten years. Pero syempre, hindi tayo aware na may mga ganun pa ng ginagamit ng teacher. But as we go along with our study, pagpunta ninyo ng high school, medyo aware na tayo kasi dinidiscuss ng teacher yung rubrics. Kung hindi man rubrics, siguro may certain idea kayo na, para siyang mga criteria kung paano kami gine-grade that. Okay, so it is a scoring tool that lays out specific expectations for assignment, sabi ni Levy 2005. So, doon nakasulat yung mga expectations, na kapag ganito kahusay, ganito ang score. Kapag ganito kahusay, ganito ang score. Kapag ganito kabulok, ganito ang score. So, a scoring guide, it is a scoring guide that uses criteria to differentiate between levels of student proficiency ayon kay Macmillan 2007. Okay. So, paano ginagamit ang rubrics as an assessment tool? Koryo. Nandito ka ba?
Yes po, sir. Kinig po ba, sir?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, sir. Rubrics as an assessment tool. What is rubric? Rubric is defined as, according to Blue Height 1999, descriptive scoring schemes that are developed by teachers or evaluators to guide the analysis of products or process of students' efforts. So dito, ito yung description kung paano minamarkahan ng isang guro yung estudyante according dun sa process na ginawa ng estudyante para mapunan yung product. So, according yun kay Bluhan 1999. So, in addition, according to PAPAM 2011 naman, the scoring procedures for judging students responses to performance tests. So, ito nga yung procedure ng pagmumarka or pag-score yun sa presentation or sa isang skills na ginawa ng estudyante para mausahan kung gaano ka galing, gaano ka husay, or kung may kailangan pang punan dun sa isang presentation na ginawa ng bata. So, next slide po, sir.
Okay, wait lang. Gumagamit ba tayo ng rubrics kapag traditional PPT?
Traditional PPT po.
Oo.
Yes.
Gumagamit,
Pwede lang po, sir.
gumagamit ba tayo ng rubrics kapag traditional PPT?
Pwede rin po, sir.
Tinatanong nga kita. Okay lang kung sabihin mo hindi mo alam.
Hindi ko po alam, pero parang pwede naman.
Hindi tayo pwedeng gumamit ng rubrics sa traditional PPT. Kasi pag traditional PPT, magpapa-exam ka, ang ginagamit mo score key o test key.
Okay po, sir.
Okay. Except pag essay.
Except,
Reflection. Others. Pero PBA na rin siya ang datingan niya. Okay, next.
So, next. A rubric that's used to score students' responses to performance assessment has at minimum 3 important features. So, number 1 is evaluative criteria. 2 is description of qualitative differences for evaluating criteria. And the 3 is an indication of whether a holistic or analytic scoring approach is to be used. So, may tatlo yung importance or yung features yung paggamit ng isang rubrics. Yun nga yung evaluative criteria, yung pinakakabuuan. And number 2, description. Yung description o yung pagkakaiba ng mga evaluating criteria kagaya ng holistic or analytic. So, yung holistic po, ay tinaglalarawan ng kabuang kalidad ng isang performance o ng isang produkto. Samantalang yung analytic rubrics ay naglalarawan ng kalidad ng isang performance o ng isang produkto na may kaugnayan sa isang tiyak na karakteristik. So, yung analytic po ay mayroon sa unang round yung description kung bilis or mahusay or sa kalawa produktuhan or katamtaman or sa hulay comprehension or pag-unawa. May kailangan po or kung hindi gaanong mahusay presentasyon. So, yun po yung binabasa para makita yung and weaknesses ng estudyante kung saan pa siya magaling or kung saan pa siya kapunan yung kanyang presentasyon. So, yung analytic po ay pwede sa sa individual or grouping. Samantalang yung holistic ay yung nag-identify sa kabuuan performance ng isang bata. Kumbaga ito
Tapos na. Gloria, tapos ka na? Okay. May tanong lang ako. Hindi sa'yo sa buong klase. Halimbawa, dance. Pahingi nga ako ng evaluative criteria for dance.
Sa dance po ay
paano mag-grade ng dance? Pahinging criteria.
So, kung sa dance po, pwedeng sa holistic po siya. So,
Ano? Pwedeng? Hindi, ang kailangan ko ay criteria, evaluative criteria. Anong ilalagay mong criteria sa rubrics pag dance ang ine-evaluate?
Gracefulness.
Gracefulness, sino yun?
Choreography, sir.
Amores. Choreography, sino yun?
Mendoza po.
Cleanliness.
Tama, mga
Synchronization.
dancer. Sino yung nagsabi ng isa? Cleanliness daw. Ano yung cleanliness?
Malinis po yung pagsasayaw.
Malinis. Pero parang hindi appropriate yung clean. Sige.
Synchronization.
Teka lang isa-isa. Si Kalusin ba yun? Mr. Clean. Sino yung isa? Audience impact.
Anlas po.
Canlas. Yan.
Sounds
Makapagsalita. Ano pa?
Sa sounds po, technical. Yung pong
Technicalities.
Opo.
Parang arrangement ng sound. Sino yun?
Opo. Alberto.
Originality po.
Ano?
Alberto
Originality.
Originality. Sino ka?
Delegado po.
Delegado. Gagaling. Mga dancer kayo?
Slight lang po.
Slight lang.
Medyo
lang po.
Madali lang ngayon maging dancer. Tanyo sa TikTok, ang daming dancer eh. Kamay lang naman ang ginagalaw. Anyway, that's it. Mahalaga na iintindihan natin. Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat din po, Rio. Ang una is evaluative criteria. Dapat meron kang criteria. Hindi pwedeng wala. No, nagde-develop ko ng rubrics eh. Magre-report po kami. Ay ano pong criteria pong gagamitin? Content, English fluency, flow of thought, communication skills. Kailangan meron kang criteria. No, it needs to be set. Next, of course, yung pangalawa, kailangan may description. Anong kaibahan ng 4 sa 3, sa 2, sa 1? Bakit ako 1? Anong description nun? Paano mo nasabi na ako ay 2? Anong description niya? At paano mo nasabi na 4? Diba? Pangatlo, syempre, it should have an indication. Mamaya makikita ninyo kung anong kaibahan ng holistic rubrics sa analytic rubrics. Tapos, dito pala sa mga sulat ko, akala ko kasi dati ang rubrics ay singular, tapos walang salitang rubric. Ay meron pala, katsa-check ko lang sa dictionary. So may mga mali dito ng grammar katulad ng rubrics is, which should be rubric is, or rubrics are. Pati dito, at saka, saan pa ba? Yan. Pardon me for those mga pagkakamali. Okay, let's go with the next. Rementilla. Rementilla, my friend, nandyan ka ba? Paramdam ka? Ang wala na naman. Okay. Rubrics improve validity. Validity is very important when it comes to assessment. Isa pa ang kasama niya na reliability. Masasabi mo na valid ang assessment kung gumagamit ka ng rubrics. Simply because naiiwasan natin maging subjective. Kasi ibinabangga mo ang performance ng bata to some certain standards para hindi ka maging bias. Na kapag na-attain siya ng bata, whether masama ang loob mo o hindi, dahil nasunod niya yung criteria, wala kang choice. Yan yung tipong halimbawa, masama ang ugali ng estudyante, bastos ang estudyante, pero pag tinignan mo sa rubrics, wala naman yung scoring. Wala naman yun. Anong nakalagay lang sa scoring natin? Recitation, major exam, project, o ano pa, performance task. Hindi mo siya makikita. So, hindi enough reason na magbagsak tayo ng bata because of those different exhibition na pinapakita ng estudyante inside our classroom. Bagaman, it is part also of our responsibility na maapektuhan ng bata effectively sa kanilang learning domain na maging mahusay at maayos ang kanilang pag-uugali. Next, DITCO 2011 suggested some questions which the teacher should address in developing and scoring rubrics. So kapag daw gagawa ka ng rubrics, you need to ask the following question. First, ano ang mga important criteria and learning targets do I need to assess? Kaya nung pinag-uusapan natin kanina, kung dance yan, kung reporting yan, kung sabayang pagbigkas, kung performance sa sports, kung magdadrama, o kung ano man ang gagawin nila sa loob ng klase, mag-i-interview man sila, what are your rubrics na ginagamit? So, it is very important. Ano ang criteria and learning targets? Yung criteria mo, i-align mo sa learning targets mo. Ang pinagmumulan ng lahat ng ating ginagawang assessment ay ang ating objectives, ang ating learning outcomes. So, what are the levels of development or achievement for each of these criteria and learning targets? Pag sinabing levels of development, alin ba yung, di ba, merong pwedeng gamitin mong leveling ay beginning, approaching proficiency, proficient, advanced. So, you identify the levels of development. One time, hindi ko alam kung na-experience ninyo, dumating sa K-12 na ang grading ay letter. Pag-usapan din natin yan somewhere in chapter 9, I think, or chapter 8 ng module, ng assessment 2. Na letter ang ginagamit. Tapos merong approaching proficiency, may beginner, so on and so forth. We never categorize the students as 1, bobo, 2, medyo may alam. No, we look into it in the positive way. Like, kung mababang grades na, beginning. Ibig sabihin, nagsisimula pa lang siyang magtayo ng pundasyon sa pagkatuto tungkol sa lesson na ito. No. Bahala lang ako kanina, may nag-post na tungkol na reklamo sa isang teacher na pinagalitan ng estudyante. Siguro, somehow, hindi rin naman kailangan maging overreactive ng ating mga estudyante o kaya ng ating mga magulang sa sinasabi ng teacher. Pero always remember that as teachers or future teachers, kung may bagay tayong sasabihin negatibo, laging merong paraan kung paano siya sabihin ng positibo. So, ito ay isang katotohanan na pwede nating gawin, pero hindi dito excuse kahit ako. Kasi minsan talaga naman ay nagsasalita din ako ng negatibo somehow. Pero it should be balanced always, and it should be not demeaning and bullying on the part of the students. Anyway, let's continue. So, should I use a holistic or an analytic scoring rubric? Mamaya you'll be acquainted with the holistic and analytic scoring rubric. Or do I need to use a rating scale or a checklist as my scoring scale? Mag-checklist ba ako? Mag-Likert ba ako? Should my students be involved in rating their own performance? Yan. Gamitin ko ba yung estudyante sa pag-score? Minsan ang ginagawa ko ay nagbibigay ng comment yung isang group sa kabilang grupo para estudyante ang nag-feed ng observation. And how can I make my scoring efficient and less time consuming? This is very important. Paano maging less time consuming ang ating scoring? Kasi nga, kumakain ng maraming oras ang scoring at ang implementation ng performance-based assessment. And what do I need to record as the result of my assessments? Siyempre, kung ano lang yung nakalagay sa rubrics, yun lang yung i-record mo. And what are some useful methods of recording students' responses to performance tasks? Next, there are several types of rubrics. Sluther. Nakarating na kaya sa akin yung send mo? Sluther, you're here? Okay. Ito, yung kay Sluther. So we have analytic. Analytic lang yung kay Sluther.
According to the first type of rubric is the presentation to list and identify the major knowledge and skills which are critical in the meaningful process. So the teacher is required to make a list or a rubric or table in which the student must possess at the end of the given task. Identify specific and detailed criteria prior to assessment. So in a rubric table or an analytic rubric table, you can identify the specific and detailed criteria which you can assess the students. Can easily assess due to separate components. So in an analytic rubric or any kind of rubric table, there will be always categories in which it will be easier for the teacher to assess the student. Provide better diagnostic information and feedback for formative assessment. So due to the fact that it is easier to assess students because there are separate components in the rubric table, it will be easier for you as well to analyze the information from that analytic rubric and make a formative assessment later on after analyzing the information. Next slide. Analytic rubric for oral presentation. So this is an example of an analytic rubric. So in the left column, there is the categories in which there are different aspects of what skills or how prepared the student is for this oral presentation. So the first category is characterization. So in the farthest right column is 1, and then next is 2, 3, and 4, so on. So this is the grading system, or how you assess the student. So 1 is the lowest and 4 is the highest. And inside these columns, there are actions for the students, or what you expect for the student to do. And the first one is rarely, sometimes is second, third is often, and fourth is clearly. So in this first category, the student's voice, facial expressions, and body language must contribute to the character, or has to stay in character. And the only thing that changes much in each column is the adjectives. It's rarely, sometimes, often, or clearly. In the second category, it is almost the same as well, but they have used different kinds of adjectives, or not the same as the first row. So the student's preparedness is not same at all prepared. The second one is somewhat prepared. The third one is pretty prepared, and fourth is completely prepared. So all of this adjectives through these columns will make it easier for the teacher to grade, because you can just look at the student and assess his capabilities in his presentation. And if you see if he clearly or completely is prepared, you can just grade it third or fourth. So in this next category, there are two categories again. It speaks clearly. It's the same concept. So one often mumbles, or he cannot be understood because he mispronounces one word. And so forth. In the second one, speaks clearly and distinctively, and most of the time mispronounces the word. And 3 and 4, the only difference is but mispronounces one word in the third, and the fourth one he mispronounces no words at all. But both still gets the same still gets the same grading, because it's not that big of a deal, I guess. Hindi pa ako sure, sir, pero that's what I'm guessing. In volume, first one is volume often too soft or to be heard by all the audience members. So masyadong soft or malambot yung, or mahingin yung boses niya, so no one can hear it. So the volume is not loud enough, it cannot be heard by all of the audience. And third one is same, around 90%. Previous one is 80%. So the third and fourth one is practically the same, pero I think the same concept for me is yung space clearly as well. I'm just guessing some people, I'm sure. You know, thank you.
Okay, thank you, student. Kaya mag-grade lang. Okay. Analytic rubric, detalyado. No? Si holistic, mapansin nyo mamaya kung nandyan si Wisco, kung anong kaibahan ni holistic, para makita natin kung ano talaga yung distinction between the two. Pag most of the time, we are using, or I am encouraging, analytic rubric ang ginagamit. Kasi lalo pag teacher education student katulad ninyo, mas mabuti na mas mabigat at mas matrabaho yung ginagawa. Para pagdating nyo sa field at ang pinagawa sa inyo ay yung mabigat, prepared kayo. Kung ang paggawa naman ay yung mas maluwag, edi at least alam nyo na kung paano ginagawa yung mabigat. It's the same with lesson plan, di ba? Pag ikaw ay estudyante ng education, ang lesson plan nyo ay detailed. Pero when you go to the field, let's say after 1 year of experience, ang hinihingi na lang ay daily lesson block at hindi na daily lesson plan, which is mas maigse. So, I always encourage my students na pag gagamit ng rubrics, you always use the analytic rubric. Papansin nyo, yung 4, dati we are using scaling 1 to 5. Wala namang problema if you use 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 7, 1 to 8, 1 to 9, or 1 to 10, o kung 1 to 100, kung percentile ang gusto mong gamitin. Pero syempre, the more category or the more dimensions you use, mas marami rin ang gagawin mo ng description. Nauso ang limahan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we discourage, kahit sa research, pag tayo ay nagpapa-evaluate ng paper, we discourage 1 to 5 Likert scale simply because yung 3 sa gitna ay nagiging neutral. Walang bearing. Hindi mo alam kung ano ba, yung bata ba ay papasa o pabagsak. Kaya usually ang ginagamit ay 4. Pag 4, it is almost perfect. Bagaman alam natin na walang perfect, pero at least may approaching perfection sa ginagawa ng estudyante. Parang flat 1, 98 to 100. Ang perfect ay 100, but we also give 1.0 para sa mga 98 ang grade. So yung almost perfect. Saan nanggagaling ang statements? Depende sa uri ng category at depende sa uri ng activity. Mababanaag o mahahalaw at makukuha ninyo not verbatim ang laman nito, pero marireflect siya ni learning outcome or ni objective. Ito yung perfect, ito yung opposite, yung 1. So if this is your perfect, the voice, the facial expression, and body language clearly contributes clearly to the selected character. Ang opposite, rarely. Yung iba nga, buti nga may rarely pa eh. Yung iba talaga ay no. O yung parang wala ka talagang nakita. Then in between, nagbabago lang naman talaga tayo ay sa ito clearly, then sabi ka rin na sooner, become often or often, then becomes sometimes, then becomes rarely. Pag nakuha mo na yung isang statement, di modify mo na lang pababa ang paraan ng pagkakasulat o yung paraan ng pagkaka-observe natin sa estudyante. Is the same with preparedness, completely prepared, pretty prepared, somewhat prepared, or not seem at all prepared. It's the same with speaks clearly and boldly. So kung ano man ang ating ipapa-performance based, it goes with this kind of sequence. Sa palagay nyo, ano ang topic na pina-performance-based assessment dito? Wala kasi itong title eh. Sample lang. Sa palagay nyo, ano pinapagawa ng teacher dito?
Acting.
Ha? Ano? Hindi ko maintindihan.
Pwede pong reporting, gano'n.
Pwede pong public speaking, sir.
Oo, pwedeng public speaking. Pwedeng, may characterization pa eh, oh. Pwedeng ano siya? Forum. Parang hindi masyado. Parang ano? Ha? Poem. Poem, okay. Oh, pwede rin, pero feeling pag poem may mga intonation.
Role-play.
Pwede rin role-play kasi characterization, nagka-character. Pwede rin theater, pwede rin
role-play.
Oo, sige. Tapos pwede rin, nawala yung nasa isip. Oration o yung pagtalumpati. Pwede yan. Okay. Next, para maintindihan natin kung anong kaibahan ni analytic kay holistic. Wisko, nandito ka ba? Wisko lang. Are you here? Okay, for the record mga kapatid ha, sa lahat po ng hindi nakapag-present, sa lahat ng hindi nakapag-panel discussion, ikaw man ay pure modular o hindi, online o kung anumang mode ang learning na ginagamit mo, dapat ka pong makapag-send sa akin ng voice message na magpe-present, magpapanel discuss, and so on and so forth. Kasi kung hindi, edi wala akong i-grade for that particular grading part. Ang sinasabi ko na dinadagdagan natin ng score nung una for recitation ay yung R. Yung pag nagsalita ka ay provide R. And for the attendance. Okay, so pag holistic rubric, gaya nung holistic assessment, tinitingnan natin ang kabuuan ng performance ng estudyante. Hindi natin ina-analyze per category na ganito siya, ganyan siya, na sa ganitong bahagi mahina siya, sa ganitong bahagi malakas siya. We never look onto those things. We look on the holistic, sa kabuuan na performance. It requires the teacher to make a judgment about the overall quality of each student response. Ang bawat category contains several criteria with single score. Kasi yung kanina, may iba't ibang category, may iba't ibang criteria, may iba't ibang scoring. Dito, each category may laman na several criteria pero isa lang ang score. It provides reasonable summary of writing which traits are efficiently combined. Mabilis ma-score, that's the advantage. Kasi isa lang ang score. Pero limitado ang precision ng assessment. assessment ng results. Simply because holistic kasi ang tingin mo hindi mo kasi hinihimay isa-isa. It goes like this. Tingnan niya, ito ang itsura ng holistic rubric. 5. Excellent. Wala siyang 4321. Meron siyang 4321 pero isang bagsak. Walang category. Ang laman niya, excellent. The students clearly describes the question studied, provides strong reasons for its importance. Specific information is given to support the conclusion. So marami siyang criteria in a single score. The delivery is engaging and sentence structure is consistently correct. Eye contact is made, so on and so forth. Tapos pag 4, very good. Nababawasan lang ng laman. O yung perfection, yung accuracy, nababawasan sa ginagawa ng estudyante. Then you mark it as 4. Then 3, as good, the student describes the question studied and conclusions are stated, pero the supporting information is not strong as a 4 or 5, so on and so forth. O pag 2, limited, and 1, and pag 0. Yan. Ang kaibahan, yung isa, ang tingin ay analytic. We analyze each part according to some point of specifications kasi detailed siya. Pag holistic, isang buo. Kumbaga, pag dito, mag-grade ka ng bata, ang grade ng batang matatanggap, isa sa characterization, isa sa preparedness, isa sa speaks clearly, isa sa volume. So, isang bata, 4. Sa kabila, sa holistic, isang bata, isang grade lang. 4 ito, very good. Tapos, mabilis score. Pero, gaya ng sinasabing disadvantage na may limited tayong precision or accuracy when it comes to assessment. Both will be beneficial, pwedeng gamitin pareho, pero depende sa nature pa rin ng iyong performance-based assessment. Kung sobrang mahalaga yan at yan ay pang major exam, please gumamit ka ng analytic. Kung medyo daily activities lang naman at kailangan mo lang at kukunti ang panahon mo at hindi naman masyadong big deal sa grading ang iyong kukuha ang score, edi gumamit ka ng holistic rubric. Nakita niyo yung kaibahan ng dalawa? Okay, that's good. We'll proceed with the rubric development. Okay. Wala na ditong reporter. So ako na. So paano gumawa ng rubrics? Isa sa mga kahinaan ng mga teachers ang paggawa ng rubrics kasi kailangan mo mag-isip. Yung iba, nagda-download na lang ng rubrics. Nung baguhan akong teacher, nagda-download na lang din talaga ako ng rubrics. Kasi marami ka talaga makikita sa online. Kahit naman ngayon na marami ka ng karanasan sa pagtuturo, minsan nagda-download ka pa rin, then you need to modify. Kasi we are discouraging plagiarism in our profession. So, Stevens and Levi, ano mong basa sa kanya, yung kanilang hindi ko alam kung libro or article ito na pinamagatang Introduction to Rubrics, they enumerated several steps on how to develop rubric. Basically, ang rubrics ay may laman. Ang mga laman ng rubrics ay dapat may task description, may scale, may dimension, at may description of dimensions. Kung itong 4 na ito ay napakahalaga, pero syempre huwag kakalimutan ng title. No? Yun yung pinakaunang part. Dapat may title. Okay, let's go with, yan, ito yung itsura ng rubrics natin. May title tayo, may description ng task, may scale, tapos may dimension. Task description, it involves the performance of the students. Tasks can be taken from assignments or presentations and other classroom activities. Usually, task description are being set in defining performance tasks. Hindi pwedeng mawala ang task description kasi dito malalaman ng estudyante kung ano ang gagawin niya. Ano bang gagawin namin? Ano po ba ang procedure na pagdadaanan po natin sa performance na ito? So, this is some sort of guidelines para naiintindihan ng estudyante kung ano ang kanilang gagawin. So, task description is very important. Example, ang title ng ating performance-based assessment ay Community Development. Task description. Each student will make a 10-minute presentation on his or her observations, experiences, analyses, and interpretation of developing community. The student may use his or her own community as a sample and look into its changes over the past 10 years. He, she may use any form or any focus of presentation, but it's a must to have a thesis statement, not just an exposition. The presentation should include table, graphs, photographs, maps, landmarks, and conclusions for the audience. So, pamamagitan pa lang ng pagbabasa nito, malalaman mo na kung, okay, ano ang aming gagawin. Pero, bagaman may nakalagay tayong task description, dahil hindi lahat naman ng ating estudyante ay proficient, edi ipaliwanag mo kung ano ang gagawin. Ano? Gaya ng laging sinasabi natin, huwag nating hayaang nakahang ang estudyante. Hindi nila alam ang gagawin nila. So, that is indicated in the task description. Did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Yes po.
Okay. Parang halimbawa, sasayaw daw pala. Yun. Ay di, makikita nyo sa task description dapat na sasayaw, na anong tugtog, o kung may beat man na gusto, ano genre ang gagamitin, so on and so forth. So that's the task description. Now, let's go to the scale. The scale describes how well or poorly any given task has been performed. Determine to what degree the student has met a certain criteria. It is used to describe level of performance. Meron tayong mga commonly used scale, pero pwede kayong gumawa ng sarili ninyo. Example, itong mga sinite ni Huba at ni Fried ng 2000. Pwedeng you start with sophisticated, competent, partly competent, and not yet competent. Ito yung nakikita natin sa taas ng rubrics. Yan, ito ba? Yan. So, it could be exemplary, proficient, marginal, unacceptable. Or advanced, intermediate high, intermediate or novice, or baguhan. Distinguished, proficient, intermediate or novice, accomplished, average, developing, beginning. Sa research ang ginagamit natin dahil ang mini-measure natin ay level of acceptability. Ang ginagamit natin ay highly acceptable, acceptable, not acceptable, unacceptable, highly unacceptable. Yun yung apat. So, ang tawag dito is scale. So, yan. So, yung kanina natin na community development, we have the excellent, the competent, and the useful. Ito yung ginamit na scale ng libro. Next part is the dimension, yung nakikita niyo sa kaliwa. Dimensions are a set of criteria which serves as basis for evaluating student output or performance. It lay out the parts and how tasks are divided into its important components as basis also for scoring the students. Example, parang criteria siya. Let's say, knowledge and understanding, 20%. Thinking, inquiry, 30%. Parang pag nag-judge ka ba, pageant man yan, singing contest, or kung ano man. Communication, 20%. Use of visual aids, 20%. Presentation skills. Ang tawag dito ay dimension. So, we have the title, we have the task description, we have the scale, and we have the dimension. Next, ang laman nitong mga blanco ay description of the dimensions. So, yun na yung detalye, yung kaninang binabanggit ni Sluder. Description of the level of performance and standard of excellence accompanied with examples. So, help both teachers and students to identify the level of expectation. Usually naman talaga, pag nagtingin tayo sa rubrics, ang una nating tinitingnan ay ito. Tapos, kung mapusisi ka, tingnan mo to. Kung ano yung, okay, kailan ako magiging excellent, kailan magiging competent, kailan magiging needs work. Tapos itong excellent, competent, at needs work na yan, itong scale, tinutumbasan natin yan ng scoring, ha? Ilalagyan natin yan ng 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4. So, description goes like this. Let's say, for example, same set pa rin, community development. Ang first nating dimension is knowledge, understanding, 20%, 20 points, excellent. The presentation demonstrates the depth of historical understanding by using relevant and accurate details to support the student's thesis. Research is thorough and goes beyond what was presented in class or in the assigned text. This is the perfect. No, ito yung perfect na inaasahan or nearly perfect. Then, you can just use the same set of statements pero babawasan mo siya kasi hindi na siya excellent, competent na lang siya. So, medyo mas mababa siya. The presentation uses knowledge that is generally accurate with only minor inaccuracies and that is generally relevant to the student's thesis. Research is adequate pero does not go much beyond what was presented in class or in the assigned task. So, mapansin nyo, bumaba siya ng level. And of course, the opposite of excellent needs work. The presentation uses little relevant or accurate information, even that which was presented in class or in the assigned text. Little or no research is apparent. That's the dimension description. Ngayon, meron tayong bata na hindi natin maskoran gamit ang rubrics kasi hindi nag-perform. Halimbawa, katulad ni Rementilla at saka ni Wisco. Hindi sila nag-perform. Paano ba yun? Ako kasi, pag hindi nag-perform, walang grade. Para maipakita sa estudyante kung gaano kahalaga ang presensya niya during that particular moment, and also napakahalaga kasi ng meeting the deadline. No? Showmanship is very important. Kung hindi, kahit magaling ka, kung wala ka doon, walang silbi. It's the same with attendance. Hindi siya kasama sa grading, pero kung wala ka sa attendance, wala din. But we need to be also considerate and taking consideration of the situation, especially kapag pandemya, kapag walang signal, kapag new normal, pero make sure na hindi na aabuso. Ramdam mo naman yan as teacher. Pero kasing pag tinanong mo, mag-e-explain, kunwari nawawala ang signal, pero sa totoo hindi naman. Balansehin natin ang mga bagay-bagay. Okay. Nagets po ang description? Ha? Gets, guys? Okay.
Opo, sir.
Thank you.
Yes po.
Madali naman siyang intindihin kasi parts lang naman ng rubrics. Ganun pala ang rubrics. Pero, ang challenge kasi dito ay pag gagawin mo na siya. Which is yun ang gagawin nyo sa module. Next. Usually, a rubric should contain a mechanism for assigning score for each output or performance kasi kailangan nating i-convert ang performance ng estudyante into numbers. Kasi nakakulong tayo sa sistema na ginagamit sa Pilipinas that we use numbers in giving grades to our students. In other countries, hindi sila gumagamit ng numbers but they are using letters. Pero yung mga top education country, yung nagtatap sa education ng mga bansa katulad ng Finland, hindi sila gumagamit ng grading. That's a different point of view and it's a very different system. Meron tong advantages at meron tong disadvantages, but since we are inside the Republic of the Philippines, we need to equate the performance of our students into numbers na ilalagay natin sa class card o sa kanilang transcript of record. So a numerical value is assigned at each level of performance. Example, practicality, ang dimension natin ay practicality, preparation, availability of materials, and components of solutions. Pag 4, 25. Pag 3, 18.75. Pag 2, 12.5. Pag 1, 6.25. Ang weight niya, 25% each. Ikaw nang bahala kung how are you going to set the points, but make sure it is makatarungan and make sure tama naman ang ginagamit mong computation. In this case, halimbawa, 25% kasi yung practicality, so ang perfect is 25. Kung 3 ang in-score mo, bakit siya naging 18.75? Simply because 3, i-divide mo ng 4, equals, tapos i-times mo ng 25, ang lalabas sa sagot is 18.75. That's the equivalent point. Ang kagandahan, pag nagsulat ka na dito, madali ka nang mag-add at maglagay ng rating sa dulo. Kung 2 naman, edi 2 divided by 4 times 25, kalahati yun, that's 12.5. Pag 1, it's 1 divided by 4, that's 25% times 25, 6.25. No? Pag nilatag mo yan sa Excel, edi mas mabuti at mas maayos. Mas madaling mag-compute. Okay. May tanong ba? May tanong kaya? Mga kapatid. Wala. Okay, let's go with step number 4, rating the performance. This is one of the most challenging part kasi nangyayari ito during the action. Paano nagre-rate ng performance? This is the final step in PBA. Siyempre, nakapagplano ka na, nalagay mo na yung outcome, nalagay mo na yung target, na-define mo na kung ano ang gagawin ng estudyante. Gumawa ka na ng rubrics, tapos mag-score ka na. It determines the learning outcome of the students. It determines if the learning outcome has been achieved by the students. The main objective is to be objective and consistent. maging objective at maging consistent sa pag-score. Kaya hanggat maaari, mas maganda na nag-perform ka ng PBA ay isang meeting lang kasi pag lumilipas ang araw, nababago ang ating mood, nababago ang ating pakiramdam at ang mga pinagdadaanan sa buhay. So consistency has been affected. Be sure also that the scoring system is feasible, posible. While doing the rating, some instructional decision must be made. Halimbawa, magdadagdag ka ng, nahirapan kang dito magkakagi, hindi pwedeng ako lang. Magdagdag ka ng rater, magdagdag ka ng ibang teachers, magdagdag ka ng ibang faculty. Ginagawa natin yan pag nagpo-practice teaching. Ang nagre-rate sa inyo ay 3. Ako, ang una, the college supervisor. Ang pangalawa ay yung cooperating teacher. Tapos ang pangatlo ay yung coordinator ng subject, like TLE coordinator. And we should avoid the common errors. We have the personal bias and halo effect. Aling personal bias? Personal bias results in 3 kinds of errors. So may 3 uri ng personal bias. Una, generosity error. Nangyayari kapag si teacher masyadong masaya, laging nakatingin sa positive side na ginagawa ng estudyante. So kahit hindi masyadong maganda yung performance, you look into the positive side and you give good grades. That's a generosity error. We should always adhere to our rubrics. Gamitin ang rubrics, basahin ang description, tingnan kung nakaabot ang estudyante. Kasi kung hindi, makukumit natin itong generosity error. The next part, yung kabaliktaran ni generosity error is the severity error. It results when the teachers use the low end of the scale and underrate student performances. Usually nangyayari ito, halimbawa, magaling yung estudyante pero mayabang. Nagkakaroon ka ng severity error kasi tipong magaling siya pero hinahanapan mo siya ng mali at napupunta ang scoring sa baba ng scale. It becomes 1, 2, halimbawa, pang 4 siya pero hindi naman. Kaya bang 3 na lang to. The severity error. Nahahatak ang scoring pababa. Pag masyado kang masaya, minsan nakukumit natin ang generosity error sa mahinang estudyante. Kasi we look into the positive side na kahit mahina siya, ganito naman siya eh. O, na-cite naman niya yung ganito eh, kahit na alam po mahina siya. And most of the time, we commit severity errors sa estudyante na medyo mahusay pero mas ugali. Pero minsan din naman, depende sa mood ni teacher. So let's avoid subjectivity and let's remain objective in giving scores to our students. Ang pangatlong personal bias yung central tendency error. Nangyayari din ito in which the students are rated in the middle. Magaling naman, lagi ang score ay gitna. Mabulok naman ang score lagi ay gitna. The central tendency error. And to be honest, naranasan ko na ang generosity error, naranasan ko ng severity error, at naranasan ko na ang central tendency error. At patuloy pa rin siyang nararanasan. No? Kasi you cannot be completely 100% objective when rating performance-based assessment. No. But as much as possible, at least 98% man lang or 99% tayo ay objective at hindi subjective sa ating ginagawa. Next, the halo effect. Halo effect occurs when the teacher's general impression of the students affects scores given on individual traits or performance. Yan. Ito na yung kasama ang ugali. Wala naman sa criteria na sasama. Kasi you look into the general impression. Kung magaling ang bata, magaling naman to. Kahit di ko na masyadong basahin yung kanyang sinagot, bigyan ko ng mataas na score. Kasi magaling yan, alam kong gagawain ng magaling. That's a halo effect. Hindi dapat ganun. Diba, usually, pag nagsasagot ng essay, napakahaba ng mga sinasagot na essay, tapos hindi mo alam kung binabasa yun ng teacher. Kung ikaw na teacher, please, pakibasahin lahat. No? Kasi, pag nahuli ka ng estudyante na hindi ka nagbabasa ng kanilang mga isinasagot, magsasagot siya ng kung ano-ano nang hindi mo alam, papahabain lang. Huwag ka rin nakadepende sa haba. Ang haba ng sagot, mataas. Ang iksi ng sagot, maiksi. No, it should never be like that. Avoid the halo effect. Ilayo ang personal na pakiramdam sa ating pagbibigay ng score. We can be critical but never personal. Ibig sabihin, pwedeng magtalo-talo, pwedeng magbigay ng mga critical opinion, pero hindi dapat tinitake that as personal. Especially kapag ang estudyante ay nananagot ng teacher, yan, may halo effect yan. O kaya naman ang teacher, ang estudyante ay mahilig mamuri ng teacher, may halo effect din yan. Halimbawa, nag-post ka sa Facebook ng, oy, salamat po kay sir, kasi ganyan po siya, ganyan po siya. Yan, meron yung halo effect. We should avoid those kind of errors. Naiintindihan? Okay. Next. Pwede rin namang student can assess their own progress. Maganda yan, pero hindi ko masyadong pinapractice. Yung ang mag-assess ay estudyante. To the point na nagkakaroon ng sariling point of reflection yung estudyante sa kanyang ginagawa. That's good. Pwede rin naman siyang gamitin, pero hindi ko kasi siya isinasama sa grading. No. Kasi I feel like, halimbawa, feeling ko mas marami yung makukumit na error kapag nag-dwell ang malaking bahagi ng grades sa assessment ng estudyante. Pwede sigurong another student or peer, pero kasi minsan ba, ay tropa ko yan, taasan ko. Ay, sarili ko, ibabagsak ko, ba't taasan ko? Ay, perfect ko yan. O, ibagsak ko yan kasi yan ay kaaway ko. But we can use that as part of the formative assessment. Di ba pag formative, hindi naman natin nire-record. So, hayaan mo na magbigay ng opinion yung isang kaklase sa kabilang kaklase para magkaroon ng constructive criticism inside the classroom. Pero hindi naman definitely o hindi naman kailangan na inire-record mo yung mga ganung uri ng assessment. Okay, have students help develop the instrument. It's good. Minsan, most of the hindi ko ito ginagawa. Kasi it takes a lot of time. Halimbawa, kayo tanungin ko, sige, anong gusto nyong grading natin? Anong gusto nyong dimension? Anong gusto nyong scale? Kayo magbigay. Ito ay pinapractice dapat because of collaboration. Pero if you have so much time, you can do it. And at some point in your teaching career, gawin nyo ito. No? Pero hindi araw-araw. Then some practices, students rate themselves and compare the ratings with the teacher in charge. Minsan, halimbawa sa high school, sige, yung mga bata, gradean mo nga yung sarili mo, tapos i-compare natin dun sa grade ng practice teacher. Tingnan natin kung anong kaibahan. Let's end of the lesson. Questions, suggestion, clarification, mga kapatid. Meron ba? Tao pa ba dito? Ano yan? Okay, so I hope everything is clear. This is the last lesson for prelim. May nag-chat right na. Ayan, tagal. May magsasalita ako. Yan. Yes po. Sinend ko po sa messenger. Okay. So I will be discussing now Module 4. Ang aking, I am hoping na pag nagbibigay ako ng module, hindi niyo ako sinusumpa, Sana. Tapos na-experience ko rin na nung isang linggo umattend ako ng PhD class, 'di ba, sa online. Tapos habang nagkaklase yung teacher ay nag-uusap kami sa GC ng mga kaklase. Pinag-uusapan namin yung teacher kasi kung bara yung tipong naiintindihan niyo po ba yung sinasabi niya? Ewan ko dyan kung ano naman sinasabi. Naisip ko lang siguro ganun din mga estudyante ko. Wala namang makakaligtas sa ganyan. And it's also okay. Especially for the sake of fun. But let us always put responsibility on ourselves pagdating natin sa loob ng ating meeting room. Okay, explain ko na. Hintayin ko lang po.
So yun yung buhay kabataan ni Rizal. So yung sa mga susunod na lesson natin, din na natin makikita yung kung paano sa kanya yung mga bagay o yung mga talent hanggang sa childhood mo kanya. So, yung mga background na yun, parang elementary to high school. So,
Okay, yan.
yung sa medicine,
Okay, the first step in developing performance assessment. Nakikita niyo ba sa screen niya?
Yes, sir.
Opo.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the first step in developing performance assessments involves determining which concepts, knowledge, and or skills should be assessed. With this, you need to know what type of decisions will be made from the given assessment. So task 1, identify a process-oriented and product-oriented performance and formulate competencies in determining or defining the purpose of the assessment. And ito po ang gagawin. So we have the orientation, process, and product. Then, maglagay ng topic. Kung anong gustong topic, may nilagay ba ako dito? Wala naman. So, whatever topic you want na ituturo sa estudyante, favorite mo man yan o hindi, alam nyo, mas maganda kung kukuha kayo ng curriculum guide, then, kasi makikita nyo doon ang content standard. Tapos, mula sa content standard, makikita nyo rin doon ang expected performance. Then you create specific competencies. Ang example nito ay nandun sa lecture, hindi ba, nung nakaraang meeting natin. So, pakisulat na lang din po. Isang process-oriented at isang product-oriented. Malinaw? Malinaw ba? Okay. For the competencies, hindi natin kailangan na makumpleto ang tawag dito, yung cognitive, affective, at psychomotor, simply because this is performance-based assessment. So make sure lang na ang laman ng competencies ay adhering to process or adhering to product. Gets?
Okay, sige.
Okay, next. Next, letter B, may situation dito. Ang Research and Development Center ng isang state university ay gustong malaman ang level of awareness ng mga estudyante regarding their karapatan. Anong karapatan? Political, economic, and educational rights. Ibig sabihin, they want to determine, alam ba ng mga estudyante ang kanilang karapatan? So the center, that's the Research and Development Center, they envisions that the result of the study will show student awareness and differences among them if they belong to different college levels and taking different degree programs. So inaasahan nila na after ng study, it is some sort of research. Na after ng research, makikita nila yung kaibahan ng level of awareness ng estudyante sa kanilang karapatan depende sa kung sila ay first year, second year, third year, fourth year, or fifth year, o kaya naman kung siya ay criminology o kung anong course niya o nursing o education. With a given situation, you need to formulate the general and specific competencies and identify the processes involved and product expected from the students in conducting the study. Okay, pakilagay ng general competency. Ito ay katulad ng paglalagay ng general objective sa research. Siyempre, pag general competency, you go direct into ano talaga yung kabuuang gusto na mangyari ni RDC. Then, from the general competency, you will put specific competencies. Again, hindi kailangan ng cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. Ang kailangan ay yung merong process involved at product involved. So, maglagay ng isa, dalawa, tatlo. Kung kayang i-capture ng isang competency, ang process at ang product na gagawin, edi kayong bahala. No? Then, after nyo ma-detail ang specific competencies, pag specific, hinihimay po natin, doon natin malalaman kung anong gagawin ng bata. Sa palagay ninyo, ano ang proseso na kailangang pagdaanan para makita mo ang level of awareness ng estudyante? At ano ang product na pwede mong ihingiin sa estudyante o ipa-undergo sa bata o ipa-require sa bata para makita mo kung sila ay aware sa kanilang karapatan. Sana ay naiintindihan ito. So you need to make the general competency, the specific competency, ano ang process na pwede mong ipa-undergo sa bata para masukat ang level of awareness, at ano ang produkto na pwedeng i-require sa bata na makakasukat ng kanilang level of awareness. Nagigets kaya?
Sir, bala nakabulat po yung sagot po dyan.
Oh, yes.
Okay po. Sige po.
Pero malinaw?
Hindi. Teka. Para kasi handa na si Casey. So, bibigyan natin ng time si Wilson. Next
sige, mag-isip na mabuti ha. Nagpapa-research tayo tungkol sa student awareness, anong general competency, anong specific competency, para baka kasi magulat na naman ako maglabas sa module na kung ano namang sinasagot. Ano ang process involved, at ano ang product expected. Alam mo, sa product, pagawin ko kaya yung bata ng poster para makita ko yung level of awareness niya sa kanyang karapalan. Something like that. Okay, next. Letter C.
Yung expectation
Wait lang, pa-adjust lang ang air. Ma'am, pa-adjust nga ng aircon. Pa-adjust ng aircon. Init.
Kasi tawa si Chilio kaya
Okay, letter C. Ito, hindi ko alam kung meron kayo, pero sana meron kayo. Or isipin nyo na lang. Mag-i-scan, excuse me. Mag-i-scan kayo ng mga assignments na binigay sa inyo ng inyong teacher ng high school, ng senior high school, ng first year college. Basta mag-isip kayo at magtingin ng mga assignments. Then, what did the performance require you to do? Ano bang pinagawa sa akin sa performance na ito? Or in what ways did the performance enable you to show what you know and can do? And in what ways did the performance inhibit what you know and can do? Then you reflect. Dahil sa ganitong uri ng performance-based assessment, ganito yung natutunan ko, mas malalim siya, mas natatandaan ko siya. You just show your reflection here. Pag ganitong uri ng module, ng sagutan sa module, at tawag dyan effective. Kasi metacognition yan, we are making and thinking of the learning that you have. Anong meron at anong nakuha ko sa learning na meron ako. Next. Ito, mag-evaluate kayo ng task description. I-identify nyo kung ano ang nawawala. Pag task description, di ba, title, then task description. Kailangan kumpleto si task description. Kailangan meron siyang anong resources na gagamitin, may tulong ba na kailangan, yung mga inaral natin nung nakaraang meeting. So, ito yung laman ng task description. Your group in Science and Technology class asked to perform a laboratory activity in preparing juice drinks in varied concentration. Ibig sabihin, merong malabnaw ang pagkakatimpla, merong matapang ang pagkakatimpla. So perform what you believe you will need to arrive at the desired learning outcomes. Set up 3 solutions. Ibig sabihin, 3 timpla ng juice, and identify the saturated solution. Pag saturated, yung matapang. Validation of answer can be done by asking the classmates to taste the prepared juice drinks. So, titikman ng kaklase daw. A representative from the group shall report the findings of the experiment. So, ito na yung task description. Hindi kayo magtitimpla ha. Ang gagawin nyo, evaluate ninyo. Sa palagay ninyo, ano ang kulang sa task description na ito. No, i-digest nyo siya at alamin kung dapat may ganitong detail at dapat may ganito pang information. Paano magagawa ng estudyante? Walang ganitong information. So, you evaluate the task description. Next. This is the last part, the apply. Hindi pa. Next. Sunod, gagawa kayo ng concept map sa rubrics. So you're about to perform a return demonstration in designing rubrics. Next, magsisynthesize kayo at mag-i-integrate ng mga konsepto and ideas na natutunan sa rubrics. And please, you make a concept map. Pwedeng colorful, pwedeng hindi. Pwedeng may arrow-arrow, pwedeng may mga cloud-cloud. Kayong bahala. Basta yung concept map mo ay may laman ng characteristics, types, and development ng rubrics. Tapos, yung concept map, gawin nyo dito. Yeah. It could be digitally done or it could be manually done. O kung nagkulay-kulay kayo dyan at nagpinta, okay lang. Pero pwede rin digital, mag-paste-paste ng mga box-box, picture-picture. Yan. Then, mula sa map, pipili kayo ng kapartner. This time, hindi po pwedeng walang kapartner kasi kailangan mo ng classmate evaluator. Pakisulat mo dito ng pangalan ng classmate evaluator. So, based on the map, you will present gagawa ka naman ng rubric. So, mula sa concept map na ginawa mo, sa palagay mo, paano siya dapat i-scorean using rubrics. At gagawa ka ng rubrics. Pakilagay ng rubrics dito. Your rubric should have, syempre, yung 5 parts. May title, may task description, may scale, may dimension, at may scale description. I am requiring holistic rubrics. Sorry. Analytic rubric. Analytic rubric ang ilalagay. Ngayon, pag natapos mo na si concept map at saka yung rubric na ginawa mo, makipag-usap ka sa iyong kaklase, naka-partner, at sabihin mo na paki-evaluate gamit ang rubrics. No. Please naman, kung ikaw yung kaklase mag-evaluate, ay maging objective at huwag mag-commit ng error. Yung mga severity, yung mga error na ganyan. Then, pakilagay po ng grade na binigay ng inyong classmate. Sa pag-submit po nito sa classroom, pakilagay po ng picture evidences na nag-collab kayo ng iyong kapartner. Nagigets po?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Next.
Wait lang ha, mag-picture lang tayo.
This part, you need to differentiate the process-oriented and product-oriented performance-based assessment. So, ano ang kaibahan ng dalawa? When it comes to competencies, ano ang kaibahan ni process kay product? You just need to describe the process and the product. Then, sa pag-design nyo ng task, anong kaibahan ni process kay product? At sa pag-develop ng scoring scheme or rubrics, anong kaibahan kapag ang task mo ay process o kapag siya ay product? It's some sort of differentiation.
Yes. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Next. In your field of specialization, which is computer programming, pwede nyo rin gamitin si TLE. Kung masyadong nalilimitahan kayo at konti ang makukuha sa Comprog, ay TLE ang gamitin. You identify several learning outcomes which can best measured with PBA. For each learning competency, formulate 3 tasks. Ganito lang ang gagawin. Kumuha ng learning competency sa field of specialization. Kung ikaw ay Comprog ang pinili, makikita mo ang learning competencies mo sa syllabus ng iyong teacher sa major. Let's say IoT, database, may learning competencies yan. Pagsulat ng 1, 2, at 3. Tapos mag-isip ka, ano kayang performance task ang pwede kong ipagawa para ma-accomplish yung learning competencies. Just the title. 3 dito, 3 dito, at 3 dito. Kung TLE yan, halimbawa ay cooking, then ano kaya ang pwedeng gamitin sa performance task? Wait lang, may pumapasok. Tatapos ng klase. Wala. Okay. And I think this is the last part. This is the complete crafting meaningful PBA. From the discussion of the steps in designing PBA, choose a topic related to your field of specialization. So, pwede rin Comprog, pwede rin TLE. Then you need to create a performance-based assessment. Kailangan nyo kasi itong matutunan, ito, at kailangan ipa-activity kasi ito ang lalabas sa prelim. Papagawain ko kayo ng PBA sa given topic. No? So, field of study, anong field? Kung ano yung halimbawa ay cookery, anong topic sa cookery? Anong grade level? Okay? Kung year level at kung ang pinili mo ay Comprog na subject ay di kung first year, second year, kung naman high school, grade 7 to grade 12. Then, sulat yung topic. Then, please wag magsagot po ng science, math, ha? Ang kailangan po natin ay Comprog or TLE. Masyadong malawak ang TLE, maaari na kayong pumili doon. Then next, define your purpose. That's step 1. Ano ang general competency? Usually, makikita sa curriculum guide. Kaya lang, kung ang pinili mo ay pang Comprog, di wala kang curriculum guide. No? You need to craft your own. Then, anong specific competencies? Anong specific competencies? Then, ano ang performance task na gagawin ng bata? Sasayaw, kakanta, magpo-program, magluluto, mananahi, maglilinis ng kuko. Identify the performance task. Next, scoring scheme. Ano yung title? Di syempre, galing lang din. Lagyan mo ng title yung performance task mo. You put it there. You make task description and you make rubrics. And that's it. Medyo matrabaho at madami si assessment na pinapagawa. Pero, ang tawag dito, mabagal ang interval niya, hindi katulad ng research. At si research naman ay tapos na. Konti na lang ang module. Midterm lang kasunod. Anyway, questions, suggestion, clarification? Meron ba? Violent reaction?
Sir, yung deadline kaya yan, sir, pwede matagal pa.
Deadline? Okay.
Mukha naman po.
Ganito. Oo. Kailan ba gusto nyo? Pag December, ha?
Katapusan daw po, sir.
Ay pa, ano bang? Hindi pwede ang katapusan.
Lang po.
It goes like this. Ang deadline, lahat ng requirements for prelim ay dapat na ipasok on the day ng prelim exam. Pero sige.
Baka naman.
Pwede, sir, pwede po bago mag-prelim po.
Bago mag-prelim. Next week na yung prelim, di ba?
Opo.
Next week na yung prelim. So siguro, posible na ito ng Friday next week. Wala nagsasalita. Friday next week.
16 po, sir.
Kailan ba yun? Teka, let me check.
Sir, sagad na po ba yun?
Friday po, 16 po.
Kasi syempre, nagpapasa kami ng grade after prelim. Pag hindi ako nag-deadline, hindi ako magpapasa hindi ako makakapagpasa ng grade. That's 16. At tagal na nun, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. Yun ay kung hindi mapapatupad ang integration. Okay? Kasi pag nag-integration period, pahinga kayo, bawal manghingi ng requirement. Ay di ililipat ng mga 18 siguro. Gusto nyo, 18 na lang.
Sige, sir. Kahit
Okay na po yung 18, sir.
Okay, 18. Na-upload ko na ba to? Hindi pa.
Thank you po. Parang hindi pa po, sir.
Okay, sige, upload ko. Wow.
Salamat po.
So, sa 18 ang deadline. Okay lang. Thank you very much. God bless you. Tapos na ang ating klase. Pag may tanong pa at hindi maintindihan, panoorin na lang yung video, mag-subscribe at mag-like. Baka naman, malay nyo. Yung subscriber ko ay nung simula ay 4, ngayon 24 na. O, di ba? 1,000 ang kailangan na subscriber. Malay mo.
24K na.
Itigil na akong magturo.
Salo ng 120.
Napaka-active ni Mirilles pag ganito ang usapan. Kapag klase, hindi na imik.
Naimik ka, sir. Alam nga naman,
Pero hanggang kailan na ulit yung 120 po?
Yung 120. Kailangan binigay kong deadline. 22 yun. 19 yata.
Ay, okay po. Sige po.
Bayad-bayad, mga kapatid ha. Mahirap mag-abono.
Saktong-sakto.
Saka Mirilles. Pasa-pasa Mirilles.
Opo, sir.
Oo, walang module 1.
Jaynel, nandito ka pa ba? Kailan tayo magbabayad kay sir?
Bayad-bayad.
Sir, baka naman pwedeng yung 120.
Ayan o. Ikaw nga, may trabaho.
Ay, sir, para naman tayo may trabaho, sir.
Ha? Wala akong trabaho. Gusto ko lang talaga magturo. Hobby to hobby.
Sana all hobby mo to.
Patahimikin mo na yung anak mo dyan.
Sir Jess.
Okay.
Papasa ko na lang po yung report ko. Yung report ko.
Kanina ka pa dito, no?
Kakapasok ko lang po mga 11:45.
Ngayon na, may chance ka pa. Sige, ngayon na.
Sir, nalimutan.
Pressure pa, BJ.
9 minutes pa daw dito.
Record ko na lang, sir.
May 9 minutes pa, oh.
Lakers versus Rep, ano?
Okay, sige. Thank you so much. God bless you. Kumain ng madami at alagaan ang sarili. Bawal gumib up. Pwedeng magpahinga pero hindi pwedeng tumuko. Yes.
Thank you po.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye, sir.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you, sir.
Olanda, uwi na.
Hoy.
Bye-bye.